Hello there, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are. It's me, your resident favourite friendly furbolg, Addison, back again with an episode of the Pod of Many Things. Now, before we start and I introduce you to my fantastic guest, Radley, today, I just want to let you know that there is a bit of I'm not going to say trigger warning, even though there may be some triggers, but there is a bit of disclaimer at the beginning of this episode, much like with my wife, because we will be getting into some quite heavy topics, things that might make some people uncomfortable, but we will try and be respectful of boundaries and stuff like that. So please, if we, if you feel like you want to talk to us about things that we've said today or anything like that, comment, DM me on Twitter. You know the drill, and I will do my best to make it up to you, because obviously I'm not here to upset anybody. So yeah, with that over, let's introduce my friend, my battle brother, Breaking Rads. Radley, how you doing, mate?
Not so bad, man.
How about you
Salutations, fellow battle brother, and all battle
It is.
brothers and sisters listening to this really exciting podcast.
Yeah. So Rad, how about you do us a favor, introduce the masses to you, because we've talked a little bit on Twitter and stuff like that, but and we've got to know each other, but not everybody knows you and not everybody knows me. So how about you introduce yourself?
That's cool. Yeah, no, I'm Radley. I'm also known as Breaking Rads on Twitter. Mainly, I do tend to stay on Twitter. I might have dabbled on Twitch a very long time ago. But what I tend to do, I do tend to play D&D. I tend to talk a lot about D&D. And I've been writing my own campaign setting, which is known as the World of Orwim. Currently, at the minute, I'm focusing on one continent called Tribian, which is not an anagram of Britain. And in particular, I've been really focusing on the nation of Tom Sears, which is also not an anagram of Somerset, where I'm currently living. Before I'm making my move back to my home county in Devon. But no, Tom Sears, in a nutshell, is King Arthur's court, Knights of the Round Table, but the twist is everyone is a halfling.
Everyone. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
They all ride dogs.
Winner.
Absolutely.
So me and Radley are going to be talking today about identifying the problem people in your games around the table, what they might do, what things they might say. But we're also going to be talking about like the safety aspects we can use as players, GMs, groups, as a means to protect ourselves from those people. Because unfortunately, we're not going to get on with everybody, and we're not going to agree with everybody. But I think you brought this up when I used to. Well, I still try to, but with the amount of Twitter followers, I used to send every time somebody followed me, I used to send a tweet back to them saying thank you, and the new follow-up question was, what would you talk about on an episode of the podcast? And that's why we got in contact, because you said this topic. This is why we've got that content warning at the beginning. So I think we go straight into the part about the problem the problems that sometimes arise, maybe our own stories, and then we look at how we fix those issues and stuff like that. Because it's better to identify the problem first, and then look at solutions, rather than go straight into solutions and then talk about problems, because you don't see how they work in context. So when we talk about problem players, Rad, what are you thinking? What's the thing that comes to mind for you when we're talking about problem players?
I mean, I actually asked this question on Twitter, and actually shout out to everyone that responded. I had so many views and responses back. It's too many to name. But yeah, it was. I mean, for me, a problem player is it can come in many forms. Some are scene hoggers, and by scene hogger, I mean someone that like loves the roleplay aspect and kind of gets into character, but doesn't really know when to kind of take that step back. And I know I'm quite, I'm a bit guilty myself for that. But as I've gotten older, I've realised now it's like it's not just me. it's everyone else around this table, and it's okay to take that step back and let someone else have the limelight. Very much like I would compare it to the Avenger films. Like every character has like a limelight scene where they just own it, but then it moves on to the next hero. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, so in the first Avengers movie, you've got that cool bit with the Hulk in the head of character, and then when he does finally not be mental and trying to kill everybody else, when he goes, you've got Captain America taking charge. They all get their moments until before that iconic like circle shot where they're all back to
it's
back.
like, I mean, I can't stand the Avengers film only because of the fact the good guys win. But that scene is so iconic, and it's just like, I mean, I know I've kind of parodied that kind of idea when I've DM games, like when like the heroes are there and like in combat and like the camera pans around and all looking really heroic, and it's like it's so cool. It's such a powerful thing for all the players to experience. Definitely.
Yeah. So, but there's not just scene hoggers. One of my main ones that when I think about problem players, I'm thinking about. I don't know how to put it diplomatically, but I'm going to try. I'm talking about those people who are like, it's just my humor, bro. It's just my humor. Like,
one of them.
I like to affectionately call them assholes. However, that's not a scientific term.
No.
So,
no.
But like those edgelords that make people feel uncomfortable because of the fact that it's just my humor, bro. It's just my humor. Or it's just what my character would do.
Yeah, it's almost a bit like I'm gonna compare it to Jimmy Carr. It's the Jimmy Carr approach that not necessarily everyone likes Jimmy Carr.
No,
because I know he can go on some very lowbrow topics, but doesn't make it quite entertaining if you're into that kind of thing. But again, it's reading the room. I think that's really, really important. DMing all player. But yeah, sorry, go on, continue.
No, I was going to say like, but it's not just limited to players, is it? Like we've talked about two express like player types there, but like sometimes the dude or dudette who's sat behind the screen is also someone who can cause a problem. And when you think about them as your mediator and your facilitator for this hobby, like sometimes you end up having like caged bird syndrome because you're like, but this is the only way I can play D&D. So we also need to recognize like problem DMs, because DMs are players. I'll give them that, even though some DMs and these are people who I consider problem DMs do not believe that.
Really?
They do not believe that they are also players. They're like, I am the dungeon master. There is a separation. I'm like, okay, you take that to your corner.
That's such a wrong approach. It's for anyone that it's tragic that if some DMs think like that, because you are a player. In fact, you are literally, to quote Oxventure, literally everyone else in the world. And yeah, you can't think like I am God. You're not. Far from it. You are designed to lose, which is why I make such a great DM. Going from my previous Warhammer career. But, I mean, I won more than I lost. But
fair enough.
But no, but yeah, no, it's you can't just win as a DM. You gotta let the players win, but you gotta make them earn it.
Yeah, of course. And I think, whereas I'm not a fan of like antagonistic DM approaches, I'm also not a massive fan of DMs who just roll over, who just go, okay, here's your anime moment every single session.
Yeah.
Like one time you've got to kick their ass, like just once, and then and because that reminds them of the thing, like that reminds them of the parameters. This is the Game of Thrones. You win or you die. You pick one. So, and I think I've been rewatching an anime called Grimgar: A Fantasy of Ash recently, and I think there's a really powerful. It's like D&D Downtime, the anime.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It doesn't actually focus on like the adventure. It focuses on the party's like dynamic when they're at home,
Oh,
and like when
okay.
they're poor and stuff like that, and like when they reflect on what they've done.
Yeah.
And one of the things that someone says is, "No living thing wants to die." Like, and I feel like that's a really good approach for DMs. Like, you fight as though you're trying to stay alive, but you don't fight to kill, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Like, to
yeah.
just kill your players all the time. But your goblins and your kobolds want to live. Like, they don't want to die. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they have to fight. Like, the risk is real. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So is there any other like problematic like elements or issues that you think are prevalent at the minute, or
I'll go on to one, but I feel like we're going to turn this PG-13 discussion to a slightly under 18 one. The creep.
oh yeah,
Uh,
oh yeah,
Before obviously going on this cool podcast, I was telling my friends on a Thursday night. I have two groups. I've got a Thursday night group and a Sunday night group. Some of my people on Twitter might have seen me tweet about the Thursday night one on many occasions when I was playing as a warlock called Grom, who is Billy Butcher from The Boys, but is an Aasimar
yeah,
warlock.
yeah.
It was great. It was great to play.
That's a pretty cool way to put it as well.
Yeah.
That's
But I was telling about them Thursday, just gone. We've been playing Savage Worlds rather than D&D. And one of my colleagues, one of the members of the group, colleagues, they're all very good friends of mine. Colleagues, grow up. They mentioned about in a previous time, before everything all changed and the Fire Nation attacked. There was a group that my friend was in, and you had a young lady who was gifted, shall we say, in the chest area, and there was also another person in said group who was I'm going to call it an admirer, who would then take, would sometimes might say ungentlemanly comments, and then have really long bathroom breaks. You can see where I'm going at.
oof,
Yeah.
oof.
Yeah.
Not it, Chief. Not it.
I know we've gone from PG-13 straight to 18, but it's
No.
an R-rated plus. But yeah, it's just like I was told this on Thursday, and I was just like, that's 50 Shades of Wrong.
Yeah.
Especially in a group, it's almost a bit like incest. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you don't do
yeah,
that.
we're mates. Yeah, we're mates.
Yeah.
Like, don't make it weird.
Yeah, no,
I do feel like, so when you think about like the stereotypical D&D nerd,
sure,
and like the renaissance that D&D and tabletop RPG games has had and stuff like that, you are imagining like those fringe people who didn't have the courage to talk to girls and stuff.
Sure.
And then you've got this influx of like, this is going to sound really bad, but like normal people, people who haven't been doing it for years, people who haven't had to like survive and like do this in secret so they don't get beat up at school or whatnot. And then they when they start mixing with like these new people, like they don't quite know because the boundary hasn't been there. Like the fact that there is a massive influx of women now into the space, and I do feel sorry for them because like the amount of RPG horror stories I read, that is like, this dude like will not leave me alone. Like, it's like, no,
that's
it's not good.
I don't know, the male part of me, the testosterone side of me, like dorsal fin up, it just RKO this guy out of nowhere, problem solved. Like, done. You're on the floor. He's been RKO'd. Like, see ya, mate. Because I don't know. It's just maybe I'm secretly a paladin. I don't know. You just don't. No. I mean, especially I think, in fact, if anything, like something like this is more prevalent now. Hopefully, since we're coming out of a lockdown here in the UK, and we're all getting back around a table. We've all been in isolation. I say that in inverted commas. No one can't really see that, but bunny ears. social etiquette, it'd be like, I've been in isolation for the best part of a year.
How do people? How do people?
Yeah, how do people?
But it can go the other way around, because I've heard some like proper like messed up things. One of my friends was telling me like years ago that uh, there was him, his friend, his friend's partner, one of her friends who was a girl, and then there was another bloke, and her friend was this girl who was single, was like fixated on him, and like would basically there was this innkeeper that they always met, like the inn was like their base of operations, and she basically, even though he would describe this guy looking like nothing like him, she would like make comments about like she stares into his green eyes, and he's like, wait, my eyes are green. Like, and he's like,
this is where you get the single violin note playing.
Yeah,
Bit
yeah,
like
like,
Dark Knight,
yeah, yeah, and then basically afterwards they she wanted to go to the bathroom, so we went, okay, she's in the bathroom, and then their game had like finished, and he was like, and that her friend with her boyfriend, which was his friend, was like, oh yeah, we should go, and he was like, but what's her name still in the bathroom? She's like, oh yeah, she's there. She'll be in there for a while. She's just she's not been very well. She ate something, and he basically like let everybody else left, and she still hadn't come out of the bathroom. And he was like,
my god!
he was like, where is she? Like, where is she? And then walks into his bedroom.
No,
she is there in like nothing, like, and she is like waiting for him.
Oh my god!
In his double bed, which on one side is his, on the other side is his wife's.
No,
like, and they are very much aware that he is married and stuff like that, and it is.
Yeah,
he like chucks her out. He's like, get out of my house, like, I'll give you clothes, just leave. He's like basically throwing her, trying to get as far away from her as he can. Like, leave me alone. Like, he's like, my wife's coming back in a minute. Put your damn clothes on. And it was so like,
yikes.
Those people who don't realize that it's a game can also be like somewhat problematic, let's say.
Yeah,
and like because I know people are going to be like, well, it's mostly men, and I do not disagree that if we found the percentages and we broke it down data wise logically, that dudes are weird. Like, and I have a thing of saying that as a dude, I can admit we are kind of strange.
We are kind of.
However, yeah, like, women can do it too, and dude, I hear that story and I think about it and I'm like, oh my god. And basically,
my mind.
The girl, what's worse is the girl with her boyfriend, his best friend, has taken her boyfriend away. They've got in a taxi because they're slightly drunk as well. They've been drinking. And she thinks it's a good idea to tell her fella on the way home, like, that they've arranged for this to happen, that they're like, oh well, his wife doesn't treat him well, rah rah rah.
Oh my god, that's just it's like,
oh my,
it makes these standards look like amateur hour.
Yeah. Like, I was like, what happened? And he was like, well, I almost got divorced. I almost got divorced because my wife turned up as I'm throwing this girl half naked out of my house, like, and my mate stops his taxi and just walks out. He goes, I'm getting out. And they almost ruined two relationships that night.
God.
Like, so yeah, there are lots of problematic things that we need to look out for when we're talking about these
I need a minute.
These players and these people, like, and the creep is probably the most if we were to put them on like a danger scale, like the scene hoggers, like really low, like danger, really, that they just want attention.
Do
Yeah,
you mean Danger Zone, right?
yeah, danger zone. Yeah, like the highway to the danger zone. Like if we
Couldn't
like
resist.
it,
Sorry.
yeah. If we were to put them on like a scale of like levels of danger, there's obviously the there's people like the rager, the person who gets like really angry and sometimes gets a bit physical with like the table or something like that. The creep's quite high up there. The person who can't separate the game from reality is pretty. There's loads of these like
Yeah.
problem player like archetypes, like classes in
Yeah.
themselves.
I feel like there should
Well,
be like a new D&D book of there's just different classes of problem players and then followed by subclasses.
well, you can have like Volo's Guide to Assholes or something like that.
Guide to Assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mordenkainen's Big Book of Fuckwits. Yeah, there's a lot,
It sure is.
it can be it, and the reason why I want to talk about it is because it, like I said, it can be like dangerous for people,
It
not
is.
just in terms of physically, and it is dangerous, in not just in terms of physically, but mentally as well, because everybody comes to that table with expectations, but
Yeah.
also with their own baggage. Like,
Yeah.
and one of the reasons we do this, when you think about it, is the fact that we do this to get out of our head for an hour to 4 hours, no matter, or sometimes whole days when you get on a session with your mates, sort of thing.
That is the dream.
And then when that safe space for you is like becomes almost like awkward and dangerous, you're like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Like, stop the ride. I want to get off.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that feeling of like stop this ride? I want to get the fuck off.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this small anecdote. This is back in the years before hair loss. Very because I'm bold. Actually, it's by choice because I ain't looking like my dad. As much as I love him, he's rocking the horseshoe. I am not.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty much rocking the blacksmith.
Yeah.
The only thing I need now is an anvil. But no, when I was a young warthog, and I was involved in a group back in my hometown in Devon, in Torbay. I was involved sadly in a very, very toxic group. And this was actually during a time where I actually hated D&D. I couldn't get my head around it. But I still went. I don't know why. I guess it was just for the company, really, which is a little bit tragic in itself.
That's one of the reasons why we do it, isn't
it?
Like,
definitely.
The company is one of the reasons we do it. Like, let's not pretend that. Let's not bullshit ourselves and be like, oh yeah, I do it to be an amateur dramatist. Sometimes it's just like, I just want to sit with people.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I mean, because every group, regardless, whether they say it or not, always has a head honcho. And unfortunately, the head honcho in this group was very, how can I put this diplomatically, right-winged. I've also was bold and also had a beard. Not that I am not, far from it. But yeah, very, very right-winged. I think the only thing that was probably missing was raising his right arm up, if you catch my drift.
Whoa.
Yeah, a little bit.
Drawing funny symbols.
Yeah, really, yeah. Almost a bit like a sun wheel, backwards. Because I'm multicultural. But yeah, and it just became a very toxic group. In fact, if anything, even though I kind of consider myself at that time very much a problem player because I just refused to play D&D. Like I tried it, didn't get my head around it, and I was just like, I'm out, I'm done, do one. But I'll still come. I'll just paint some miniatures. Yeah. But it's just, yeah, eventually I just like, I'm done. It got to a point where I was becoming quite toxic as well. And it's just like, that ain't me. And I was, savvy enough to kind of realize that I was becoming a problem. So I left. It was like, I'm done. I'll still be a friend. I'm sorry. I might have said some really horrible things, and I'm just gonna move on. But unfortunately, with that group, it's like if you were out, you were out. Like there's no take backs in this kingdom.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them like like, I mean, one of them was actually my best mate, who I still keep in contact with. He is like the most battlers of brothers of Battle Brothers. And he's now got his own group, and they've all kind of moved on from it, and they've all grown up as well. I would say. I mean, the old saying goes, isn't it? You know, I mean, getting old is mandatory, but growing up is optional.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, I still keep in touch, and hopefully when I move back down to Devon, in Torbay, fingers crossed, I can. And obviously once COVID's done one, sort of, it'd be nice to kind of sit around that table again, which is all terribly exciting. It's something positive to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely.
And plus, also the fact that we're all older, and you know, there's no toxic players, there's no hatred, shall we say? It's all quite boring and grown up and a bit mature, you know.
My granddad from Newcastle had an alternate to that. He said, growing hair does not mean growing wise.
Oh,
like
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Like, so yeah, he was like, he would say that to me all the time, like, because I'd be like growing my beard. I'd be like, yeah, I like rah, rah, rah. And he's like, or somebody would say something, and he'd be like, oh, growing hair does not mean growing wise. And I'm like, that's such a good phrase.
It's a good
phrase now that I look back on it as an adult.
Yeah.
I had a quite an interesting, because me and this player now are like really good friends.
Cool.
But it was the first time I'd ever played with them, and I told you off stream that I used D&D as an escape, as a grieving mechanism after I lost my son.
Yeah.
And so I went back to the D&D club which I played at, and I had this get me the fuck off this ride now moment with this player, because they had a history of bringing the same character to every single game, which you not really that bothered.
Yeah.
And then they had a habit of just wandering off, like not really wanting to play the team game.
Oh.
So I'd built a drunk, like, it was just when Eladrin had come out.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'd built this drunk Eladrin druid who come from the Feywild, was used to pieing all the time.
Yeah.
And basically he's come, and I had Thorn Whip as a cantrip.
Right.
And every time this guy, every time this player tried to walk off, I just Thorn Whip him back.
Nice.
So at one stage it ended with we were all struggling to get up this slope.
Right.
And he made it up the slope, but then he went to leave us without helping us up.
Oh.
And by virtue of that, my character just went no, and pulled him back down by accident, because it pulls you back 10 feet.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Hadn't made it like 5 feet away. I just wanted to bring him back to the edge, but then the DM was like, no, they're at the edge, so you'd pull them back down. I'm like, and they was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I saw this player's face looking at me, and like dead ass just went, yeah, go on then. And they literally threw down, and they were like, listen here, you don't you dare do this to me. I don't know who you think you are, but you shouldn't be doing this to someone who has knives and axes and shit around their house. Rah, rah, from my reenactment days. Basically threatened physical violence against me. Like, because I kept, and because also as well, I think I'd nat 20'd and almost killed them.
Oh dear.
Like, and almost knocked them to 0.
Oh,
so I basically was like, well, stay with the group then. Like, you just keep running off. Like, stop doing this. They're like, and they went, rah, 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 I'm gonna fucking get you. And I went, right, okay, here's the thing, dickhead. One of us needs to leave this table right now, and I'm going to give you the choice. Either you can leave or I'm going. Pick one.
Yeah,
and they're like, I'm not fucking going anywhere. So I just went, fine, I'm out. Like, I just pushed myself away from the table. The whole game stopped for like an hour because they were like, are you all right? I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm not being there. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
We had to have like this massive conversation as like a club because of that. And I think that like, but it did lead to like more healthy, having that blow up and having someone and calling these people out was what helped us to one, improve their behavior,
hmm
and two, show that it wasn't acceptable. Like the
Yeah.
fact that, and like the club organizer was like, you cannot do that. If you ever do, I like, to be honest with you, they wanted to get rid of them right there and then. Like,
Yeah.
go away.
Mm.
We don't want you. And I was like, nah, like, give them a warning. I'll
Yeah.
take that, but like, just tell them that they're not allowed to be a dickhead. Like, that's that's
Yeah,
my
definitely. I mean, there's got to be a, even with strangers, there's always, and friends, there's always a decorum, which there's should always be there. I think even just naturally. I mean, we're not barbarians anymore, unless you obviously
yeah
pick one as a character in D&D. But
yeah
but even as people in real life, it'd be like you can't go around threatening violence. I mean, that's that's almost a call to the police. Hello.
yeah. Oh well, that's why I left, because I was like, if this carries on, it is going to have to be like someone needs to get the old bill, like,
Yeah,
because
yeah, definitely.
and
You can't
like
do that.
and you can't do that. But like, but then because somebody's called it out,
Yeah,
and we've had those safety tools in place,
sure.
we've been able to work at that as a community and as a club. And yeah, clubs don't exist. The club doesn't really exist anymore in the same capacity as it does because of the
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I'm
But
getting my ticket ready for that comeback tour. I'm very excited.
yeah, I'm excited for like in person play as well, because I know that in person play is. But I am also worried about it for the same reasons that you said. Like, how to people?
Yeah.
Like, are people going to come back expecting like that same online like meme culture, which is fun online,
Sure.
but when you're in person and someone starts making like loud, like, I don't know, sex jokes and stuff at you in public in front of people you don't necessarily know,
Yeah.
you might be a bit like,
yeah, no, again, I think it comes with wisdom and a bit of experience and reading the room. Like, if you're not going to be making, dirty jokes or such, if you're, I don't know, for some reason or another, DMing to, like, I'm going to say children, i.e. under the age of 16. Obviously, if there is obviously other adults, but you just wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
And it's the same if you're going to go on to pseudo politics to people that are, let's say 16 to 18, who obviously are getting quite savvy in the world of politics, are, sort of being not necessarily left wing or right wing or whatever their political views are, but you're not going to kind of do that just to be antagonistic. I mean, you shouldn't, and that's just a netty no-no. Do you know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah, no, of course.
Reading the room is super important, I find.
Yeah.
But again, that's more of a conclusion or something to kind of prevent problem players, which I know something we'll go on to in a bit. But what? So that then? Let me turn. I'm going to turn this table around.
Fair enough.
What other sort of archetypes, people that can be problematic at the table?
People who don't understand the baggage of certain things. So, for example, if I play, I like martial arts films.
Cool.
I like the monk is my favorite class. If I play a stereotypically Asian character as a white man, right, I have to be careful.
Sure.
And some people cannot handle that, so they might do the whole like voice,
yes,
and stuff like that, and like it that those sorts of people who don't realize like racial politics, kind of, just because it's an RPG game doesn't mean those things don't exist. Those lines don't exist. So if you're, because it would be the same if I played like a person, a black person, and I like made this backstory of, well, they're like a escaped slave and everything, and basically made like the world's most racist stereotype story.
Yeah,
I've become a rogue to steal everything because of the fact that I feel like the world's let me down. Like, I have a problem with authority because that like no, like don't do that. Like I
Yeah,
feel as if like if you can do it with respect,
sure.
like there's nothing to it. But if you're going to be there like I'm going to play this gay character and try and seduce every man, like
Yeah, it's
don't do that. Stop this,
yeah.
please. It makes me uncomfortable.
It's a bit like I'm not going to call anyone out in particular because I wouldn't. That's not me per se. Kind of. Um, it's when men will role play as female characters.
That some people can do it really well,
Hmm.
and I'll give them that. But every time a man goes, "I'm good. My character is female," I've got bells ringing in the back of my
Oh,
head straight
okay.
away. 'Cause
All right.
I'm like, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, are they gonna like? What are they gonna do? Because there's always that one guy who thinks he's really good at playing female characters, and
Go
they're
on.
just not. It's like I'm going to throw myself at everybody. Like, no, stop,
Yeah.
please, no.
It's no,
Like,
it's funny. Funny you say that. I'm actually of my Sunday night group. I'm actually playing a female Goliath barbarian cleric
mhm.
called Juvitsa. Um,
Jesus Christ, that's a mix.
no, no, she is. It's cleric of war. Was it? It's because we're level 10. It's 8 levels of cleric of war and 2 levels barbarian.
Wow. Oh,
Um,
you only went that far. I would have thought it was the other way.
Oh
Like,
no, no, yeah. No, I mean, admittedly, I kind of wish I did because she doesn't heal. She. I mean, it's just
I'm
rage.
inflicting wounds,
Yeah,
boys. Like,
it's pretty much inflict wounds. But because the point, the decision for me to kind of play as a female Goliath cleric barbarian was to kind of try and test myself as a player to see whether or not I can play a character like that without
hmm,
going into the stereotypes.
yeah,
There might have been some slight complications because
hmm,
A, she's built like a 10 brick shithouse. Um,
yeah,
Secondly, she's, not a child, far from it. Especially being at level 10, you'd be an adult, which she is. But it's the kind of the whole, for example, she's strong. Most of the other people in this particular party are soft and squishy. Even with an Eladrian druid, which made me
fair
laugh
enough.
when you said that earlier. Um, but it's like Juvitsa will pick up someone like a handbag, done.
Yeah,
Because she's very much a no nonsense kind of character, but would grab someone by the scruff and just carry them like luggage.
yeah,
Which, depending on if it's not a player, it's usually an NPC, but it's usually done with kind of like comedic timing kind of thing. But obviously, it's got to be
yeah,
funny to be comedic timing, I guess.
yeah.
But
It's got to be funny, and it's got to be like a like a thing that's shared by the group,
yeah,
like
oh
sort of
yeah,
thing as
yeah,
well. Like it's and like it's your first, or by the sounds of things, it's something you're challenging yourself with. So I
yeah,
imagine that
definitely.
you're approaching it with the gravitas and
Mm.
well, not gravitas. I don't want to make it sound too serious, but you're approaching it with the care that it needs.
Yeah.
Whereas you've always got that person, that guy,
Mhm.
because it is usually a man, who's like, "This is my lolly cat girl." Like, this is my lolly cat girl character. Rah rah rah. Like, and you're like, okay, let's play another game in another setting. And they bring, hello, here is my big titty elf girl. Like, and
Come
you're like,
on.
please, please don't.
Mm.
And you're like, it's really hard to like. I feel like even as a DM, that's a really hard subject to broach because of the fact
Mm.
that like they'll be like, because again, that's what my character would do.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, no, like so
It's
if
fine.
you
It's
can,
finding that balance, isn't it?
it is finding that balance, and I think yeah, it just worries me. It makes alarm bells. Like I imagine that I'm admittedly with the Goliath female,
Hmm.
you know that she's a strong woman, like knows what she wants, rah rah rah.
Yeah.
Whereas it's when they start using like the more sexually provocative races,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my god, I know what they're trying to do, and like every single tavern they're in is like, "Rah," like get me a man to sleep with for the night, or all right. And
Yeah,
you're like,
Tiefling
well,
Sorcerer springs to mind.
yeah, Bard, Tabaxi became one because people didn't realize that like Tabaxi meant that they were cat people,
Oh,
not that they were people with cat ears for a
oh,
while.
oh. Yeah, you go into the
Like
realms of furry, which is just
yeah. And
not
you're
in
like,
my books. Nope.
not not like before you yiff, I'm going to yeet.
Yeah,
Like I swear to God. Like
it's just
so.
no,
Yeah, no. So it gets to that point where there are some guys who like bring these like overly sexualized females to the front, and you're
Hmm.
like, please, just this isn't okay. I know that this might be something you want to happen. This might be a dream of yours to meet
Hmm.
some like big titty elf girl. Whatever you do in your spare time with your search history is up to you. However, there are me and 5 other people around.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as to say, I mean, I know, like I said, I've kind of fallen into some traps with playing as Juvitsa, mainly because we're one of the players in the group who has incredibly high charisma, so it kind of would be generally kind of good looking as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, uh, the person playing him is a good friend of mine, so there's a lot of
Yeah,
like trust to begin with.
you've set that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's that
it's
trust there. Whereas
yeah. Plus the fact like he's going to be, he's very happily engaged and loves his fiancee to bits.
whereas big titty elf girl guy
Yeah.
like has not set this up with anybody. Like
Ah, no.
there
It's
is no setup for this. There's no oh yeah
mm.
my character's freaking the sheets DM. It is like like it's
Yeah,
almost like a
yeah,
jack in the box that they let out. Like and you're
yeah,
like ah,
yeah. No,
go
definitely.
away.
But then it's, I mean, as you know, as a DM, I mean, again, this is the sort of things you need to kind of address in session 0. It's like,
Mm,
what's your character, kind of sort of thing.
mm,
But and as I knew, when I was in my Torquay group, not many moons ago, actually kind of recently, again before COVID happened, I was playing a character called Stitches, who is it's just evil. It was an evil round campaign, very cleverly
mm-hmm,
done. It would give Game of Thrones a run for its money in terms of the
mm-hmm,
politics and like that kind of aspect of it. Um,
mm.
but having it was very much, he's so edgy you could cut yourself on him. He
Yeah.
kind of very much wore like a veil mask made of bird bones and had a very grovelly voice, which I'm not going to do online.
Yeah.
But again, was just like it's just kind of. But again, that was all discussed with the DM. Again, a very very good, very like my oldest friend.
Mm.
And but having that and then kind of like trying to get at least a character concept done right, and then knowing like his role in the group, it all functioned very well. And even having like an amazing subplot with Stitches, who is now goes by his actual proper name, which is Cocardle, due to a assimilation, so to speak, into the society that the evil people are running, sort of thing.
Mm.
So, but again, it's I mean, I couldn't do that 10 years ago because I've matured since then. Kind of,
Yeah.
he says, who plays D&D. But
Yeah, but like yeah, I get it.
yeah, you know what I
I do
mean?
get it.
It's
I get it.
as in
Like
fact, maturity or immaturity was the kind of the general theme I got from all this amazing feedback from people on Twitter.
mm,
Because obviously this is always stuff that happened some time back,
mm,
and not necessarily recently, but they've all been quite young. I'm going to sort of say somewhere between 18 and very early 20s,
yeah.
where you kind of, yeah, I'm an adult, I kind of know stuff. And you're like, bugger
Yeah.
all, mate,
Yeah.
Um,
Pay
you,
a bill first. Like
yeah,
we'll talk
yeah,
about it.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, immaturity is also, I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, is definitely a key theme or a recurring theme with problem players.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think we also need to think about like maturity in terms of not just our age physically,
Mm.
but our maturity in our D&D journey as well.
Yeah.
So as we learn more rules
Mm.
and we learn more concepts, we need to realize that the way we create characters and the way we portray our characters is going to evolve with us.
Yeah.
So I had a kobold rogue at one point,
Cool.
mastermind,
Ooh.
because he knew he couldn't do it on his own. Like he was like, he wanted to make his own criminal syndicate. That was his thing. Everybody had underestimated him for so long, like that he'd learned to read and stuff, and he was charismatic even for a kobold, and he was a rogue. So his thing was like he was trying to recruit people. And in this campaign, one of the characters like tried to like basically stitch him up
right
for something. Like but he was trying to siphon off a bit of gold that they'd found in like between him and a wizard. Basically, they found it together, and they were like, "We could take this, you know, and then if we give them something, like." Nobody's going to raise an eyebrow if there's something here. If there's nothing here, then people are going to cause an issue and people are going to rock. So my guy was like, and then when the characters like walked in, which I thought was a bit like metagamey, like I walk in at that point, and I'm like, okay, you were in another room a minute ago, because it was like almost like we were searching this house.
Yeah.
And he walks in, he's like, you need to give them everything. So I basically used an intimidation check, telling him that if you even look at me the wrong way, because also Biggs is small. His name was Biggs, but he's a small little kobold. He's got little man syndrome. Like his name's like Biggs Alphonse, because he thinks Alphonse is a fancy name, like as well. So he's like, my name's Biggs. If you even look at me the wrong way, he kind of does the Bricktop speech from Snatch.
Yes.
Like, stop me while I'm walking, sunshine. I'll cut your fucking Jacobs off.
Yes.
That sort of thing at him.
Oh my god.
This guy's like. And this guy hadn't actually told me that his character was a child. Like it had never come up. So like I didn't realize that I was doing this to like a teenager. Like I was like, oh, okay. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have done it. But we've done it now. Like
touch piece, move piece, my friend. Touch piece, move piece.
But yeah, like, and basically he spent the rest of the session like looking over his shoulder. It was a one shot. He spent the rest of the session looking over his shoulder because of the fact that. He kept trying to like tell people what had happened, and Biggs was just always seemed to be there. Like, is there a problem here, mate? Like,
amazing.
Is it because I have scales? Like, and it was like, look, I know I'm untrustworthy, as he's there with like the money in his back pocket.
Yeah.
So amazing. They were So you do sometimes like have to work on it, and sometimes, and I was quite immature with that. Like, if I do it now, I would make him a lot more intimidating, like more in the fact of what he doesn't say. Like, so like he was very loud and obnoxious because he felt like disheartened and everything. But now it would be like the fact that he's always watching and like he's always thinking, and the fact that he doesn't speak much until he goes, no, that's a bad idea. Like, because I think that would have actually made him more intimidating.
Yeah.
This kobold who rarely speaks, who's a part of a race that is not supposed to be intimidating, is there like, no, like that's a silly idea. You can shut up now. Like,
I do have one question, considering the fact you've gone with the whole Bricktop thing. Did you ever do the Nemesis quote?
No, I never did Nemesis. I did. I'll cut your Jacobs off. And I did the pig thing.
Oh, feed to the pig's arrow. Yeah.
Hence the expression "greedy as a pig." I did a couple of things there, and I basically had the wizard and me like made this alliance basically that if we found it first, it's ours.
Yeah.
Like. And and people are gonna be like, that's a problem player move. But like, we were told that basically this was a thing for fame, so that we were allowed to make like morally dubious characters. Our characters were allowed. If he'd turned around and said, yeah, you're good, you have to be good at line characters, we would have let it go. But it was like, no, he wanted a hodgepodge of characters that were in this job for all different reasons, who were risking their life for these things that made it so that they might clash heads because they're trapped in this house together, by the way. Like, you need to find a way out together even though you do not agree with each other. It was almost like that, those horror movies where they put loads of people in a space. it ends up
I've
being
got
like.
in my head right now possibly the best quest in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion game. Did you ever play that? Oblivion?
Yeah,
You know the
Oblivion, yeah.
Dark Brotherhood quest where you have to go into the, I think it's called Who Done It. It's where
Oh
you
yeah,
get you get locked in the mansion.
and you have to like solve who killed the owner or something like that.
Yeah, it was more like off
Or
everyone.
yeah.
But you kind of got to do it where it gets to the point where it's like everyone's dead. You're here, and I'm here. That means, and if that ain't me, it's gotta be you. And it's like,
And
yeah,
that,
stab,
yeah.
done.
My thing was more like our thing was more like we were trying to earn the money. So,
Mm,
like I said, Biggs was trying to earn the money to buy like a secret base for the Sunblind Syndicate, because obviously the kobold cannot see in broad
yeah,
direct
yeah.
daylight. So there were times when on the way to this house
Mm,
he was like looking the completely wrong way because he just couldn't see.
mm.
Like he was like. Like so he's giving this speech, this post, when it's supposed to be like to the barbarian, like, you listen here, mate. And he's like having it out with a tree,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
pretty fun. So you mentioned session zero, and I do want to go into that because
Sure,
that's like one of the biggest safety tools we have
it is.
as a collective, as TTRPGs. Like, what is your opinion of session zero? Because session zero is like, the popular opinion is that it's necessary. Like, I'm of that opinion as well. Are
Yeah,
you?
absolutely, 100%. So my session zero really is more like, because again, I'm very fortunate that I tend to kind of role play with friends. I mean, as much as I have role played with strangers, which I feel like I should do a video about, because it wasn't necessarily a typical campaign. It was all done play by post, play by post
Mm.
on Discord, which was, for the best part of it, relatively successful. If anyone doesn't know what play by post is, it's basically typing, or at least originally back in the 70s, it was more a case of you would write what your character does and you would send it by post.
Mm-hmm.
Snail mail, as everyone calls it these days.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but obviously, as time's moved on, it's essentially like literally a text-based adventure.
Yeah.
I did over Discord, which was, for the best part of it, relatively successful. Bit
Mm-hmm.
redundant because you might as well just talk.
Yeah.
But I think it was a case of when people can and not necessarily sit down and speak, for several hours. Anyway, that's a massive tangent. Tangents will happen here, folks. No, the session zero, for me, is kind of a case of character sheets, rolling the dice. I mean, for me, when running stats, it's the 46, take away the lowest,
Mm-hmm.
and do that 3 times. So essentially rolling it, um, as I do like one reroll per set. So it's essentially 21 dice rolls you'd be
Mm-hmm.
making, and then from each kind of like attempt, you pick the best one or the one that's more suitable for your character that you're creating. But it's not just about rolling that dice; it's the concept of the characters and how they. I mean, for me, I like to kind of have where the characters know each other. It
Yeah.
gets
Like the
rid
shared past
Yeah,
experience.
it kind of gets rid of that whole, you're all strangers
You meet in a
and you're
tavern.
all meeting a tavern. Yeah, that
Yeah.
old chestnut. No, I mean, admittedly, this play by post one, uh, that was because of the fact no one really knew each other. It kind of made sense that the characters also didn't really know each other. Um, and they're all in at first off, they're not in a tavern, but they've all been picked up by a mysterious coachman. Um, and then I had everyone roll Constitution saving throws, and whoever failed farted. So they're in a closed space, and someone farted. So no, it's very childish, but it was pretty fun.
It creates like a talking point, doesn't it?
It's an
Like the
icebreaker,
fact that
literally,
yeah.
or an ice melter. Depends on how nasty the flatulence was. But see, you don't eat the fish in Frostelm. That's
No.
for sure. Lesson learned. But yeah, no. But yeah, no. Session zero is, yeah. It's you're on your stat, and you kind of it's drawing the concept of that character, and you kind of make sure that they're all gonna connect like a very awkward, dysfunctional puzzle.
Mm. And do you set out your ground rules and your expectations there? Like,
Uh,
is that where you have those hard conversations about these are things that we will allow and these are things we won't allow, sort
yeah,
of thing?
again, because it's friends. I mean, they all know me. Dangerously politically incorrect. But I'm not arrogant about it. There's some things I might say, might be a little bit ignorant about. But again, it's all part of being human. It's all part of the learning process. Every day is a school day, especially for you. But not so much for me these days. But yeah, I know. Again, it's if I mean going forward, and when we're back in the outside world, even though we're going back indoors to play D&D, because who's going to play it outside unless it's really sunny, which is very rare here in the UK. But yeah, having those ground rules is important. It sets the tone, and everybody kind of knows where they're at. I know that hopefully when I grace a gaming group in Los Torbados, the Bay of Dreams, that I'd be like, right, I'm going to DM this. However, you don't know me, I don't know you yet. So I want to set a couple of ground rules so that you kind of, it's expectations,
Mm.
which, is very much in the same kind of that you have high expectations, like in your line of work, correct?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so, and again, that also applies, again, like even in a regular workplace, everyone's got the expectations. There are rules in place, like you don't lose your shit. This is quintessentially, and punch pillars and what have you, because you then produce a dangerous work environment, and it's the same,
yeah,
in that's like in the real world, but even around the table, regardless if it's D&D, any role playing game or any board game or whatever, the expectations are you don't flip the table, and then you don't, assault the person next to you because they're kicking your ass at a board game.
yeah,
Again, expectations and those boundaries are key, prominent before you start, playing a character that might be so edgelord you look at him, you cut yourself on your arm, kind of thing. It's
yeah. No, I get that, and I think I'm of the same agreement that like I'm I usually have the same core set of people
mm-hmm,
who I play with,
mm-hmm,
and they know my expectations, and they know that there are certain things I won't allow for.
mm,
Like, so I won't allow you um like assault, like inappropriately assault people,
mm.
like unless it's not even unless, sorry, that's not what I meant. Not even if you make it part of your character. Like, there is no unless. Like, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah,
Not there is no unless. Like, there it is. We do not do these things. Like, and because of the fact that they make me uncomfortable,
mm,
and that's the be all and end all. There are some DMs who do grimdark and they do the Game of Thrones esque like stuff,
mm.
and I'm like, you know what? It's not really for me.
No,
Like,
right.
so I think that session zero is really important
It's
because of the
fun.
fact that it also helps me to protect myself as a DM,
Yeah.
like because I'm reacting to a lot of things. There are things that I plan and I do and I make sure happen and I have like ideas,
Mm.
but like I wouldn't, if someone was to like throw that at me, I'd be like, I well
Yeah, yeah,
no,
no.
just no. Like so, and then that breaks the game, and then you're probably going to have an argument. Um, Obviously, I do character creation and stuff.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, what I've noticed is that Session Zero's come under fire a lot recently in terms of the like. It seems to be there's two very entrenched camps.
Mm.
Like, um, Session Zero is invaluable, and people won't play in a game without Session Zero, which I think's reasonable.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's safe.
yeah.
And then there's the other half, which are like Session Zero is pointless. Like, just get on with it. I want to roll dice and do things, which
Mm.
you can in your session 0, even if you're doing those expectations and safety measures and stuff, like have that. Like you can get them to do like an hour or half an hour of like rolling dice and going like and doing something like an encounter to like one of the suggestions that somebody gave me was like, if you don't have enough time to like start the adventure, get them to run a practice encounter.
Yeah.
Like, so to see how each other play in that sort of situation.
Yeah, kind of a bit like a demo. Do you remember
Yeah, like
demos?
Oh, mate, the magazines that you used to fight over to get the demos for. Like, the Zone of Enders demo never got like, yeah, I should have owned stocks in that. But yeah, so yeah, I think that session 0 is really important. But we've had quite a few like controversial moments in the TTRPG community based around session 0. We've had the Think DM piece that I've linked you in the Discord.
Yeah.
Where it was originally titled something like, he says it in the first bit, Session 0 is a scam.
Yeah.
Those were the words he used, and then when he was challenged on it, he was like, "But you haven't read the full article," like knowing that title was gonna cause offense.
Yeah.
And the main thing of it is that like it's a poor way to introduce somebody to the game. You should have done safety tools already. Some people mechanic dump or lore dump. What it should be is like the you do it, and they've edited it heavily now because it was just like get them rolling dice because it's a poor like. And to be honest, his thing was true. Like some people do lore dump in session 0, and that's not what I need. But like
I don't know if you're familiar with the lore, like for example, Faerun in Forgotten Realms.
Who couldn't be? That's all they ever release.
Yeah, it's kind of like I mean, again, it's accessible stuff to get hold of. Whereas for me, like all the stuff I've DM'd is all from my own like setting that I'm kind of making, not on the fly. I'm a bit more prep than that, but there's certain things that I tend to, I guess, for a session 0, just to generalize, like for example, like I said before, Tribbian is basically medieval Europe. That's as far as it kind of goes in terms of that is it. However, we get further into it, like Tom Sears is Knights of the Round Table, but everyone's a halfling, whereas Strode, which is not to be confused with Strahd, which is how very much it is like Strahd, is what I would compare to like a medieval Birmingham, as in it's very grey, everyone's a little bit sad.
That is one of the things. I can't remember who I said that. I've said that on the podcast, that Birmingham is just grey.
It is.
Like, it is. What is that about? I know this is a tangent. I'm sorry,
but
we need to talk about this.
We do.
Why the fuck? Like, even if it is sunny outside,
Yeah.
as soon as you leave the inside of the bull ring, like
it's
you're
great.
like, Jesus Christ, have I stepped into like one of those like, am I in like a 1940s movie? Like, because even you turn grey. You're like, there, like, what the fuck?
It's film noir. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I lived in Leicester for 4 years. Again, during when I had hair. And I was obviously going from Torbay, a little Devon munchkin, going up into the big city of Leicester. Obviously, Torbay, very green, very blue. Leicester, very grey, despite how massively multicultural it is, which is amazing. But it's also very grey, which I know it's northeast of Birmingham for anyone that doesn't live in the UK, or does live in the UK, because geography. But yeah, Strode is medieval Birmingham. It's very grey. Everyone's very, not miserable, but very, very dour. Like, chips and gravy. That's my very poor Birmingham accent. Apologies to anyone from Birmingham. Says me with a very, very broad Devonian accent. But it's... Alright, my lover. But yeah, Strode is very, very grey. It's actually ruled by a vampire, which is totally nothing like Strahd. This is two separate things. They just sound very much alike and are very, very much alike. But I'm trying to figure where I was going with this. Where was I going with this? I've had a mini brain fart.
About... Oh no!
Oh no!
I'm doing it as well because I've now got my favourite thing to say in my Birmingham accents, which is just as bad as like, it's just like everything's grey. It's just grey.
It's just grey.
I'm like, yeah, we were talking about
Sorry, my
fuck.
Oh dear.
Expectations. No, it's never mind. It'll come back.
It'll come back. It'll come back. Really sorry, folks.
we were setting expectations.
Yeah.
We were setting expectations, and like then we moved on to like
settings. It was world settings. Yeah.
Laws.
Laws. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Dumping.
So Strode is Transylvania, but it's medieval Birmingham. That's it in a nutshell. That's all you need to know. You know. So, but the problem is the vampire that rules it, Baron von Strode, is I know it's just it's so on the nose my saying, and I love it. It's the whole, I mean, if anything, my saying is like, if Terry Pratchett, you know, God bless his soul, was still with us, I'd like to think he'd be kind of proud. Or he might make me his apprentice.
Puns for days.
Yeah.
Puns for,
it really is. In fact, the capital of Tom Sears, which is my medieval Knights of the Round Table halfling place, is called Pratchett. It's actually pronounced Prache, but it is spelt as Pratchett.
Is it like that woman from Keeping Up Appearances, where it's like
Mrs. Bouquet?
Like, it's Mrs. Bouquet, thank you.
yeah. It's exactly the same. In fact, there is a character called Terence. It's my little kind of homage to Terry Pratchett. God bless his soul. But I tend to like generalize because I'm not going to kind of go into then this battle happened back in the First Age, you know, several years after the Battle of Exham Plains. You know, I'm not going to go into that because I was like, no, it's just get on with it. You know, you got to get to the point.
You'll find that out. You'll find that out as you go around.
Exactly.
Like, you'll find a book. And you might go, I want to read what's in the book, and I'll summarize to you that is a history of this happening. Like, there you go. Like, there's some lore for you. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that, but like just the way he phrased it and stuff like that, it got a lot of people's backs up because I do think it's a necessary tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are many necessary tools for our safety. Like, we should do regular player check-ins, and DM should take criticism. Yeah, and I know nobody likes criticism, but we should take it.
Yeah, you got to take it. Take it on the chin.
Because some people also made like a consent form. I showed you this before we started, which I think's good for strangers. Like, I wouldn't use it with my friends.
No.
Like, if I was still like involved in the club as like as an admin, I might get all the members to fill one of these out and then say, just to make you aware, because we had to like register for games online, and like they'd be assigned, and it would then be posted up who's in what game and whatnot. I would then send that information. So like, just to make you aware, if there's anything red that's like, no, do not do this, it would be like, okay, you've got players, and I wouldn't name them, that have red lined this. Like, this is their red line, these are their black cards, do not use these things in your game, just to make you aware. And then boom, that's it. And I think that it's a good. But some people were like up in arms, like, you babies, you fucking like Gen Z, like snowflakes, like they were like, like, if you could get vitriol and venom out of people and like distill it, like you could have then, like, it was milk those fangs. What do you think about like the consent list and consent in D&D? Obviously, based on our things, that it's important, but like,
it is, it's massive. Again, I think
those people are there like being dickheads about it.
I mean, the people that are just being absolute knobs about it, it's just like, if it was up to me, again, if we engage the lizard brain here, okay, out of nowhere, problem solved. You know, it's just like, stop being a douche. You know, like, you have to obviously. We're taking away the lizard brain now. If we, you know, kind of talk about this as grown men, fellow battle brothers, you're going to look after your fellow battle brother. You know, it doesn't matter if they're sensitive or not. Like, if you got one guy or gal, you know, and anything in between that's sensitive to any particular subject, it needs to be addressed to the entire group. So then everyone, hopefully, fingers crossed, is respectful enough to kind of go, all right, yeah, we've addressed it, we'll put a line through it, and then we'll get it out of the way. We won't even cover it. It's gone. It's in the nope section. It's in room 101. It's like,
Yeah.
I
like that analogy. Like it's in room 1. We have a black card system in our server. So basically, you play your black card when something is like beyond the pale that you don't like. Like, not necessarily like attacking anyone for them doing it, but just saying like, I cannot deal with this, so I'm going to play my black card. And we need to skip over this. The black card in our thing cannot be ignored. Like, you are not as a DM allowed to ignore it. Like we will be having. I run the server, so I will be having words with you. If anybody turns around to me and goes, "They ignored my black card and did it anyway," I'm there like, "What are you doing?"
No, definitely. I mean, it's running a game, or even just as a player in a group. You've all got a responsibility to kind of just respect each other, and trust one another. To kind of like, we won't do that. And then the people that do tend to do that are still. They're not mature enough to kind of be part of a group like that. I'm afraid it's just, they are the I want to say problem players, but I was educated again from Twitter that it's and to quote, I'm reading my notes here. Slight misplay. Shout out to slight misplay here. I wrote this verbatim. Someone who doesn't respect the primary goal of contributing to and facilitating everyone else's fun.
Yeah.
Which is very long-winded, and I love it.
But it is also like perfect. It's the politician answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
it is, isn't
basically it's like, don't be a dick and ruin everybody else's fun, but it's like contribute and facilitate other people's fun.
Definitely.
So,
but actually, no. I mean, obviously, regards with slight misplay, he's a very, very intelligent bloke. And big shout out to him for obviously educating me. With
I think it's good.
I'm going to say it's a flowery term. It kind of is. I'm undermining that quote. Not at all. I think it's great.
The sentiment behind it's amazing. It's exactly what we want. If you were to put it in an official sense, but obviously as when we go back to that Neanderthal brain, like you said, that lizard brain, like, do not ruin fun. Stop. Is and it's good.
Do you want to cover the lizard brain thing just in case if anyone doesn't know what I mean by lizard brain?
So the lizard brain is basically like our primal, like instinctive, like we do without like reason, really, like almost like that's where it was before logic. So like when we were cavemen and stuff like that, we hadn't developed logic and society and the group thing that makes up the other parts of our brain now that has developed, and therefore the lizard brain is like just, I do this because I can. Like I do this because I can. I do this because I need to. Like that's what's meant by lizard brain. In case anybody doesn't know what that means.
I think in terms of I don't know if you can see it. I mean, we've got a camera on at the minute, but if I put my thumb in the center of my hand, that's the lizard brain, and then logic and reasoning goes around it, which makes the brain. Hence why you take all that away, it's like a lid. Hence the term flipping one's lid.
Yeah,
I was very flipping one's lid.
No, but that was I remember because obviously with my autism, people like have tried to like teach me that like sometimes this bit in here doesn't agree with the bits that are around it, so it just goes and like they all flip rather than just the lid. Like especially when I was a kid. But yeah, no, I think that's a really good sentiment, and like I think we don't even though we've joked about using the lizard brain, like, and it has been a joke. Like we need to make sure that people aren't just using that lizard brain when they play. I know that some people are doing it to de-stress and tune out and to play tabletop RPGs, but you know what? Like not at the expense of other people,
No.
especially not on my table.
No,
I don't know
no,
about you, but
definitely.
I feel like that's the same from you.
Yeah, no. As I know, we were sort of talking before we went live. I experienced. I am going to call it Lizard Brain. Not by myself. It was a game I was running during Lockdown 1, Part 1, the Phantom Lockdown. Or it could be a new lockdown, depending on which time in Star Wars films you're starting. Anyway, we're going off topic. So I was running a campaign with my friends on my Thursday night group, and there was a gentleman. Well, I'm not going to use his name, but we'll call him Mr. C. How you interpret the C is entirely up to you, dear audience. But let's just say that I wouldn't buy him a pint. So running this campaign, it's going all relatively well. And this particular session, Mr. C was, I think I mentioned something about dragon, not dragon. I had this encounter; they were going to fight a dragon, and he was going on this rant about dragons are dumb and stupid, and it's like, part of me want to say, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah,
it's
on the box, mate.
Kind of on the box, and I instantly, being somewhat mildly older, you kind of pick up on when someone's a bit off. And I thought, right, okay, I just, might have a bad day. He's in lockdown. He's got 3-4 kids. I can't remember the number. A lot of kids, and he's got, obviously trying to contend with work, but how can you during a lockdown? Like there's a lot of stress building up, and then Mr. C was being, I'm going to say, verbally unpleasant to a very good friend of mine, and it kind of like, and then I was like, all right, okay, number 2, first time is an accident, second time is coincidence, and then towards the end of the session, the person who was being berated by Mr. C decided to do, it's like, we had this big combat. We the group won, all good, all great, bit of looting, why not? And my friend was like, I'm going to search for this. And Mr. C, just was like, it's just, complete, like from 0 to 5th gear. It's just like, whoa. And a part of me was thinking, shit, this is on me. Like, this is my fault. Mr. C did apologize, but however, I work on a touch piece, move piece policy, and no one brings that kind of behavior to my table, virtual or in the real world. You just don't do it. And I haven't really, like I said, I wouldn't buy him a pint. Not that I drink much anyway these days.
I don't think anybody does in Britain at the minute. That's why we're all moody.
Yeah, it's very, very true. But no, it was just the fact, like, you were horrible to my mate. He was kind of disrespecting, like, the lore of my world to begin with as well. Like, this was several sessions back. But it almost came to a head. But it could all would have been avoided by sort of saying, guys, I'm a little bit off. I just want to have some fun. If I am a bit moody, it's because of this, and like we'll talk about it before. Not see, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a session 0 thing. It's just kind of like, even like during, I don't know, 9 sessions in, it could be like, this is how I'm feeling at the minute. If I'm a bit off, don't take it personal. I'm going through some stuff, and then we could have like a game, and then as grown-ups we can talk about it. But that unfortunately didn't happen, and it ruined.
Was this guy a stranger? Like, he wasn't part of your regular group?
Yes and no. In fact, I was actually the new addition to this group, despite I knew these people for the best part of. One of them in particular, I've now known for nearly 5 years, and the rest of the group I sort of know for just under a year. But I would consider them hardened battle brothers indeed. But this other guy, who I didn't kind of replace, but kind of, I was filling in a gap, so to speak. Not a euphemism. But it's just, it was like, when we first kind of like got to know each other, it was all pleasant. And then this one particular session, I saw a very ugly side, and I still haven't really kind of forgiven. But at the same time, my expectations is I don't bring my personal shit to the table, so I don't expect anyone else to bring their personal shit to the table. However,
Yeah.
if it was a case of I'm a bit blue, don't worry about it. I'm dealing with it. I'm just here
Not
to,
got
I
enough
just, I just
spoons.
want to roll some bones and have a laugh. I need the escapism. But
Yeah.
if I am a bit off, I do apologize, but I'll try and suppress it, or or at least find an alternative outlet that's safe for everyone.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that's important. Like when you've got to admit when you've not got enough spoons. And if for people who don't know, there's a popular analogy called the spoon analogy, in psychology, where basically when you haven't got the ability to like deal with things, you say you haven't got enough spoons.
Oh,
Like you
okay.
haven't got enough spoons to deal with to seat everybody at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much is the way you almost look at it.
Yeah.
Like I haven't got enough spoons to set out places for all this stuff that's going on in my life.
Right.
So if you say you've run out of spoons, and maybe it's because you were new or something like that. I don't know, but maybe they weren't comfortable enough to do that yet. But you know what, you're gonna have to.
I don't know.
We
It's the way I see it. I mean, unfortunately, we are two very, very different people.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, he did apologize. Fair enough, but
But touch piece, move piece.
it is.
You did.
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds harsh, but yeah, touch piece, move piece, and like I said, I wouldn't buy him a drink. I mean, I generally, I know it sounds a little bit barbaric. Here's me, bald bearded man, trying to resolve things by buying drinks.
Yeah.
Normally, it's for me, it's a good indicator. It's like, I mean, I'll buy you a drink. I mean, I know we would kind of met face to face today.
Yeah.
I'll buy you a pint. I'll have you down as
Yeah.
I don't know. It's either going to be some sort of cider. It was very, very broad Devonian that was, wasn't it? Or possibly some sort of very nice lager, like kind of like a Kronenberg, possibly.
Oh.
Ooh,
He's pegged me for two. He's two for two. I'm one of those strawberry and lime cider guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm one of those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
And then if it's there, I'll have like a Moretti or something, like one of the more upmarket lagers.
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
when I do drink, because I don't drink a lot,
No.
because
No.
there was an incident, and one day we may talk about that incident.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, nothing like I just ended up in the hospital.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, no. So before we tackle the deck of many questions and do our outros and everything,
yeah.
one of the main things I wanna tackle with you, or not tackle, wrong word. One of the main things I want to do is gift people something to help protect themselves.
Yes.
One from you and one from myself.
Okay.
One of the main things that I think, I'll do me first, then we'll do you. My main tip with everybody to protect yourself on a server, in a game, or anything like that. My number one safety tip is the comfort to say no. Right? If you are not comfortable with something, you're allowed to say no. Like, you do not have to. If you obviously, this isn't including things like battles and stuff like that, where if you don't like a dice roll, you say no. But if there is a situation with something that you cannot deal with, or something that is beyond the pale, you have to have that ability to say no, or have someone with you who has the ability to say no as well. And that culture around a table is really important.
Yeah.
So if you are ever on a table where you feel like you cannot say no to something because a DM or a player, I'm afraid you're at the wrong table. Like I heavily advise you to either ask for that courage, that condition, that atmosphere to be encouraged, or I beg that you leave, because it's only going to end in tears.
Yeah.
So having that atmosphere where you can say no is really important. So that is my number one safety tool for you as players and as DMs. What's yours then, Rad?
Oh, good lord. Yeah, I kind of following on from that. I guess my tip would be to kind of read the room, in terms of like if they are kind of playing something that is, of a, let's say like a really hyper dark, very evil player campaign kind of thing, and that's not you, and you kind of notice that within this, like around the table, it's okay to kind of go like, does I actually have that inner strength to kind of go, I'm out. This ain't for me. I mean, like, thanks for what you're doing. It sounds great, but it's not. It kind of goes against everything I, as a person in IRL, IRL. There's no in it because there's already
Yeah.
AI. But IRL, like, that, it kind of goes like against the grain. And having that strength, I think players would actually respect you more to kind of go, you know what, all right, yeah, it's a shame he's not going to be part of the group, but I respect him or her for kind of going, I'm Romeo done, I'm out.
Yeah.
But to kind of, obviously, before you obviously get into that, just to kind of read the situation, like analyze, like, what the group is doing, what are they going to do. Again, that's just like, it's like zero, it's like session 0 before session 0.
Yeah, I think we've both we've both also kind of basically said don't develop cage bird syndrome as well.
Yeah,
like there are multiple games out there for you.
Mm.
We promise that you'll find them. It might take time, but you'll find a game and you'll love it. But do not think that you have to stop where you first end up, almost.
Yeah,
because that's when you end up feeling like you have to go through these things and where you can't read the room and stuff like that because you feel like you can't play D&D otherwise.
Yeah, definitely.
We promise that there is some out there.
Definitely.
So
go on.
Rad, thank you very much. Before we go, I've got one last question to ask you.
Yes.
Are you ready to face the deck of many questions?
Bring it.
All right, so Battle Brothers, Battle Sisters, Battle Lovers, we are doing the deck of many questions, which is our fan and internet trawled pool of questions. All of them are numbered, and if you wish to submit questions, put them on Twitter, on the comments of the YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you can get in contact with us. Let us know, and we shall put it in there, put it in the pool, so that somebody can select it in future episodes, and we'll shout you out if you suggested it.
Do I need a D20, don't I?
No, you need. Technically, we can do it either as a random number generator because there's 75 questions on our deck of many questions, and it's ever growing. And I will also, because it's just me and you here today, you can pick a number for me, and I'll answer that question honestly for you.
Cool.
So, we can just pick if you want. So, a number between 1 and 75.
Let's go with. I'm going to be real childish, and I'm going to go with number 69.
We've recently had this, but I like it. I like it because it kind of fits with the number.
Oh, okay.
Why do you think bards are the best class? Is the question from my friend Leon, who loves bards and does this to hurt my soul because I'm not their biggest fan.
Oh.
So why are bards the best class? Oh. If you don't believe they're the best class, tell me why they're not.
I don't think they're the best class. So, all right, okay. I'm going to give you a pro and a con for playing a bard. Yeah. Pro, playing a bard, aside from obviously the typical, I'm going to call it cliche because it is cliche, ladies' man or ladies, or I'm trying to think what's the opposite of a lady.
Man's lady? Is that like
or basically a ladies' man or a man eater.
Yeah.
It's, the pro of being a bard is the fact you can inspire, and if you can make someone who's already good at something amazing, that's very much a metagame thing I'm saying there, but yeah, that's my pro for playing a bard. It's being that kind of like, sunglasses on, giving the old the old finger guns, like, you got this, kiddo. Go out.
And slapping them on the bum as they leave.
Yeah, like, go team player. Yeah. You kind of watch them as they leave. With like the sunglasses down to the nose, like, oh yeah.
That's my boy.
Go get him. But yeah, so that's my pro. Now my con for playing a bard is exactly the same reason. And in fact, it's kind of like, there's almost like this unwritten contract, apparently, that you have to be this kind of like a bit like Face from A-Team.
Yeah.
Very handsome or very, let's just say attractive to cover, both sides, and everything else in between. When you don't need to do that. In fact, you don't even need to
No.
be a musician to be a bard.
No.
Controversial? Come fight me? No, please don't. I'm only little.
There are literally bard colleges that are about not being a musician. Like
Yeah.
the College of Glamour is literally about looking good. The College of Eloquence is about speaking to shit and it listening to you.
Yeah.
College of Swords, like I juggle swords and swallow swords. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, definitely. But no, I guess a con.
You go first.
As I say, I mean, it's a proper answer to the con of playing as a bard. I guess you're not really that strong, but then you don't really need to be that strong when you're this good looking.
Yeah.
I don't really have one. Oh, bugger.
Oh shit! He's fallen into the trap.
No!
My thing I hate about bards. The thing I hate about bards is they make other classes redundant. Like, I hate the fact that they can just do everything. They can take spells from wherever they want.
Yeah.
Like law bards, my wife has purposely made one to spite me.
Oh.
Like, she's like, I want to be that bard that really annoys you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like the know-it-all. It's like,
Yeah.
God,
Yeah, can't deal with that.
No, and I think also, despite the fact, they're also a know-it-all, but they're also a brown nose, but they're also so wittily charming. And it's kind of a bit like,
snake oil salesman, aren't they? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to make a very controversial statement and compare it to a very famous GM, but I'm not going to get that argument.
No.
He knows. He knows.
Let's do me. You get to choose a number for me now, and I will answer that question for you.
Alrighty then. Have you had anything under 20? Sorry, that came a bit wrong in context.
Yeah, we've had some, but you can do under 20.
Let's go with 13. Mark of the Horn Rat. Squeak, squeak.
What is the most ridiculous thing a player has ever done in your game? Submitted by my friend Paige. So, where do I begin?
Allow me to attempt this. Open this massive tome.
Yeah. So I've had a storm giant literally killed by a magic stone.
You what?
I've had a storm giant literally killed by a magic stone.
Go on.
Like the cantrip. So they fight storm giant. Bad guy, Janon was his name, because it sounded like Danon. Apparently, that's what they kept. That's how they referred to him all the time. So Janon, leader of this city in the middle of the air elemental plane, led it. Was like ciphering energy from people. Had like his own honor guard. Blah blah blah. He became a warlock patron because we were using the giant patron for from the Unearthed Arcana.
All right.
And then my druid finished him off with a stone in front of everyone, like in front of his whole city. I'm like, nat 20'd it. I'm like, fuck. Because I thought, oh yeah, it won't kill him, and I can recover next turn. It'll be fine. It'll be no. I've had a zombie beholder fight that I planned for like weeks end in seconds because of banishment, because technically it wasn't on its home plane of existence.
I can relate to that.
Very
frustrating.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, but I then punished them by saying, I think it's appeared in an orphanage somewhere. Like, it's just been banished to an orphanage somewhere. That's all your fault. I've had players dispel magical cannons whilst they're firing. So if all the magical housing for this energy output has exploded whilst people who are manning the cannon are on it, one of them being the king of somewhere, like, or the lord of somewhere. I don't know if you watch Critical Role, but
I have my opinions in Critical Role, which
I
know. I mean, don't get wrong, it's very good. It's just the fact, like, they're also bloody noisy. every last one of them. Oh, it really gets on my goat. It really, really
Yeah.
does. But I know there's a lot of people that love Critical Role, and that Matt Mercer is some god. No, he's not. It's better.
Fair enough.
Um,
It happens.
but yeah, no, it's yeah. Sorry. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, like she dispersed that, and it blew up him and his son who was helping him work on it. And yeah, you can argue that he's irresponsible for bringing his son on board. However, when you're miles away from the enemy line on a cannon that you've built and you know is safe and you've tested multiple times and yada yada yada, you don't expect your son to be blown almost to bits on this cannon. Like, in fact, you possibly think that's the safest place for him. So that happened. I've had loads of strange things happen in my games. I couldn't. Oh, there's so many, but I do think probably the stupidest is that the fact that somebody killed a storm giant with magic stones because they were ran out of spell slots and they were just desperate and they just went, right, I'm gonna launch this at him. And I was like, there's no way.
It's almost it's kind of like the D&D version of David versus Goliath.
Exactly, that was the problem with it. I'm like, they're like,
far,
oh no,
far more epic.
yeah.
Because you got what was the race of the character that threw the stone?
Half elf druid.
See, I think if it was like no more halfling or even kobold, I think it would have been even more epic. It was a little tiny bite-sized thing against, which I can only assume any storm giant has got to be Brian Blessed, or at least like a young Brian Blessed.
Oh, my one was more like my one was more like like when Benedict Cumberbatch did Smaug's voice.
Yeah.
Like, who's in my like that rasp sort of thing. Like I liked that because it was like almost like rolling thunder, isn't it? When you do raspy voice, like, why are you here? Like, but yeah, no. So that is my answer. Thank you very much to everybody who submitted questions. If you want to stack the deck in our favour, add a bit more spice to it, submit your questions. I'll shout you out. All that jazz. So, Rad, my battle brother, it's been a pleasure to have you. We've gone a bit longer than I was expecting to have you for, but that's because talking to you was fucking epic and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Thanks, man.
So, we'll say our goodbyes. We'll let everybody know where to find you. And yeah, we'll say goodbye. So, Rad, where can people find you on the internet?
All right, fellow battle brothers and sisters. You can find me on Twitter at Breaking Rads. You can probably tell it's me because I usually say it's whatever day it is, my dudes. And I'm also continuing on with my hobby streak. I am on day 64 today, where I've been posting some stuff up, where I've been working on some stuff, hopefully to resell on eBay. Because I'm also not only a D&D nut, but I also like painting miniatures because that's how I roll. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter.
Fair enough. And obviously you can find me on the Pod of Many Things on YouTube, the Pod O Many Things on, because apparently somebody had stolen the F. and you can find me on Instagram, but mostly through YouTube, Twitter, and podcast apps. You'll find us, and hopefully you'll hear this episode, you'll get involved, you want to learn, and yeah. So, friends, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. I hope you learned something today, and I hope to see you soon. See you in a bit. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.